Good morning. This morning we come to the last of the 7 letters that Jesus writes in the book of Revelation to the churches, and this is to the church in Laodicea. It's in this passage in Revelation chapter 3 verses 14 through 22 where we get the phrase lukewarm, or being a lukewarm Christian. And so in this passage Jesus says in verse 15, "I know your works, you are neither cold nor hot. Would that you were either cold or hot. So because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth." Now, it's kind of an odd way to phrase things, and sometimes, traditionally, the interpretation of this passage is that in the analogy Jesus is making of being hot and cold, being hot is good and being cold is bad. And that Jesus either wants his followers to be very zealous or hot for him, or completely uncommitted, cold, but not the middle of the road. Now, if you've heard that interpretation before, hopefully you can see maybe one of the problems with it. Why would Jesus actually want someone to be cold, to be uncaring and uncommitted towards him? Now, there are probably some justifications that you can make for this, but I think the answer is simpler, though it's less obvious for us because of how far removed we are from Laodicea and the time at which this was written. See, I think Jesus is actually talking about something that's a situation very familiar to Laodicea, whose water supply itself was likely lukewarm. See, Laodicea, in contrast to 2 other cities nearby, had a different water supply. So Hierapolis had hot springs, and Colossus was well known for its pure cold waters. Laodicea, by contrast, received its water through an aqueduct which traveled over 5 miles, and over the course of that 5 miles, that water, which was either hot or cold, would have grown lukewarm. And so this imagery that Jesus uses of lukewarm water and how detestable we find it was very familiar to them. Hot water is good for its uses that we have for when we're washing, we want hot water, and cold water is great, especially on a hot day when all we want is just that refreshing cold drink, cold glass of water. And the problem, though, as Jesus is saying, is both hot and cold, they have their uses. Lukewarm is the issue. The problem that the Laodiceans had was that their wealth caused them to forget their need for Christ. And so it's a danger that every person with wealth, probably every single one of us who's able to hear this message, faces. See, all of us, rich or poor, we desperately need Christ and the gifts that he brings us, forgiveness and mercy and life. But when things are going our way, especially when we're affluent and we've got almost all of our needs met, it's in those moments that we tend to run lukewarm. We forget just how desperate our need is for Christ and for what he's done for us. So today, spend some time, maybe make a list, but spend some time thinking about all of the things that God has given you in Christ. They're the big and the obvious ones, but thank him for all of the gifts that he's given to you today. Gifts like sunshine, gifts like rain, which make the grass and the flowers as beautiful as they are. Have a great day.